There we go.
All right, so welcome everybody to the Old Colony MPO meeting today. I will start by asking Charlie to read the roll. Actually, want to do the roll first and then the accessibility statement, or the other way around, Charlie?
Let's just do the roll call so we can establish the quorum is present, then we'll
Yep.
do the accessibility. So
All right.
roll call: Brockton, Plymouth, West Bridgewater.
Mary Anderson here.
Thank you. Whitman,
Here, Dan.
MassDOT, Secretary and CEO.
Steve Wolf, Representative Secretary and CEO of MassDOT, Jamie Tesler.
Thank you. MassDOT Highway Division.
Pamela Hasner, representing Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Thank you. Brockton Area Transit.
Here.
Thank you. And OCPC.
Mary Waldron, representing President Val Massard.
Chair, I report a quorum is present.
All right, thanks, Charlie. I asked Charlie, since I'm losing my voice, to read the next couple of things. So go take it away, Charlie.
Yes, so this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like any of these accommodations, please call Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The Notice of Discrimination Rights and Protections to Beneficiaries with regard to the Federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council's website. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. And I noticed that Lee jumped on, so just for the roll. All
Okay,
right,
so
but sorry, you good, Charlie?
yes, I was just going to have Lee state present
Yeah.
for the record. Thank you.
Lee Hartman, Director of Planning and Development for the Town of Plymouth.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right. Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Actually, I'd like to address the MPO and congratulate Meredith Anderson on her re-election to the Old Colony MPO as a local signatory. This will be a 2-year term, and it's starting on November 1st. So she's finishing out a great first term and starting the second term. So welcome aboard again. So
Thank you all very much. Very happy to continue be a part of the team.
great.
Mary, you got something? Raise your hand.
Nope, I was just looking for the clap button. I'm sorry.
All right. I thought that's might what have happened, but all right. So with that, we'll move on to number 3, which are the minutes from July 19th. Can I get a motion, a second to approve?
So moved, Whitman.
Second, West Bridgewater.
All right. Any changes or comments on the minutes? Seeing none. Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Yes, Plymouth Lee Hartman,
Yes.
West Bridgewater Meredith Anderson,
Yes.
Whitman Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
MassDOT Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
MassDOT Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit Michael Lambert,
Yes.
and Old Colony Planning Council Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll move on next to agenda item 4, which is the BAT report from Michael Lambert. So Michael, since you had some big news you were holding off on, have at it.
Thank you, Chair. As usual, we begin with our ridership update. We're still pretty consistent around the 60-65% level of pre-COVID ridership. 2 little nuggets of there that are kind of both interesting and good news. One is that after a advertising push, we now have more customers than ever using our mobile ticketing platform. So that allows people to buy tickets, passes, whatever they need from wherever they are on their phone. And the second is that our Stoughton service continues to set records for both pre and post-COVID in terms of ridership. So that's great news. Second item is that we finally received approval from Apple for our Rockland Microtransit app. So we'll be soft launching that service in the next couple of weeks. And that's going to just start out running parallel to our current Rockland service as we move customers over And then we'll start a big advertising push for that after the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for more news on that. And then finally, the big news, thanks to the state legislature and MassDOT, BAT and the other 15 RTAs will be offering free service on all BAT services anyway, from the day after Thanksgiving through New Year's Eve. And that's designed to promote local shopping, obviously also offer a break to our current customers, and then also attract new customers who haven't considered local transit, regional transit previously.
All right, anyone have any questions for Mike? Seeing none, thank you, Mike. We'll move on to agenda item 5, which are updates from District 5. Pam, who's doing it? I don't see if Barbara or Cheryl Ann, are you doing them, or are they there and I'm not seeing them?
That will be me. Neither Barbara nor Cheryl could make it to the meeting, so I'll do my best to fill their shoes. So in
A lot
20
of tough questions for Pam then.
Oh, be kind. I'll go through the design projects. For federal fiscal year 2023, the Stoughton 138 project is at 100%, and we should be expecting the PS&E in the spring. Another Stoughton project in federal fiscal year 2023, intersection improvements at Central Street, Canton Street, and Tosca Drive. That is also at 100%, and looks like we're expecting the PS&E later in the winter. I know there was a question about an Article 97 property on that particular project where the park is, and I was actually trying to get some information on that at the very beginning of the meeting. I haven't heard, but as far as the design, it's okay, so stay tuned. Hopefully that will not be an issue, but I just wanted to bring that up. We have a major bridge project that it's a state-funded project, Duxbury Bridge replacement on Route 3 over North and southbound Franklin Street that will be advanced through the design build process, and that's also in federal fiscal year 2023. It's at 25%, which is typically when design build projects are advertised, but there's a whole process that it will have to go through before advertising. In federal fiscal year 2024, a local Brockton project, intersection improvements at Center Street, which is 123, and Plymouth Street. That is at 25% design. We're expecting the 75s, excuse me, next summer. There was a common resolution meeting held, and then the next thing would be a utility site walk and a design public hearing, then get to the 75. So that's why it's not for quite a few months. There's a municipal off-system bridge that is in 2024, Plimpton, Winnetoxet Road over the Winnetoxet River. That is at 25% design as well. And then there's a high crash location that's a state prioritized intersection, which is Route 123, again, Center Street, Cary and Lyman. And the 75% submission for that project is due in December. I think I might have skipped a year, excuse me. Another project in Brockton, which is this is a municipal proposal, intersection improvements at Lyman, Grove, and Summer, and that also includes replacement of the Grove Street Bridge over the Salisbury Plain River. That is at 25% design, and we received the bridge type study, which is part of the bridge review process. And that we just received that and finished up the review comments for that earlier in November. Another project in 2025 is Easton Corridor improvements on 138 and Elm Street. And this will connect the work that was recently completed on 138 and the Union Street project, and do that section of 138 and go through the Elm Street intersection. So once this is done, there'll be a good length of corridor that is will be improved. That's at 75%. We received that last month and we have it under review. Another fairly significant bridge project in 2025, Norwell Pembroke Bridge Replacement, Route 3 north and southbound over the North River. We're waiting for the 25% design. That won't be for a while. Still quite a bit of work to be done on that one. Let me go to 2026. Hanson Corridor improvements on Route 14. This one's been delayed for a while. There's a concern with, and I probably have mentioned this or Barbara at previous meetings, there's a very old water main under the road, and it's actually not owned by the town of Hanson. It's through the Abington-Brockton Water District, I believe. And it's well over 100 years old. And we have some concern that the construction could potentially impact the water main. So we've been discussing this with the town and have requested to have further exploration. It's called a SUE, subsurface utility exploration, to get more information on the water main, the depth, the condition, things like that. So we're waiting to get that resolved. And then I expect the town would be advancing that project. There's a roundabout project in Abington in 2026, Hancock and Chestnut Street. And that is at 25% design. We've met with the designer and the town, and I believe the next step would be a utility site walk. Duxbury intersection improvements at Route 3 and 3A. This is at the interchange. We're waiting for the 25% design for that. That's as far as we have for regionally prioritized projects in 2026. We do have a state prioritized project, which is a high crash location, which is in Avon. Intersection improvements at Route 28, Spring Street and Harrison Boulevard. And this will connect to the Harrison Boulevard project that was done not too long ago. We had a scoping meeting for that, and we're expecting the 25% design in late winter. Coming up to 2027, the Brockton intersection improvements at Crescent, Quincy, and Massasoit. I don't have an update on that. It's been around for a while. The last I have is the city DPW is reviewing various designs, but we haven't, nobody's reached out to us, so I really don't have an update on that one. And then there's a state prioritized project. It's a quite major off-system bridge project that's in 2027. Duxbury Bridge replacement of Powder Point Avenue over Duxbury Bay. That's a major bridge replacement. And we did meet with the town and Old Colony to give an update on that. And we're starting preliminary design. There's a long way to go on that. It's just at the very early stages. So that's pretty much just a couple, I guess I should note. Stoughton Turnpike Street is not programmed, but it is at 25% design, and there was a design public hearing in June. We are advancing that. It's not currently funded. And then there's another fairly significant project, Kingston Bridge replacement, Smiths Lane over Route 3, and we're working toward the 25% designed for that. That will also include a good deal of roadway work in addition to the bridge. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'd say that's about it. We did, sorry. We did have a meeting with the town of Stoughton for intersection improvements at Canton Street, School Street, and Summer Street. There was an early scoping meeting, and the town will be advancing that. And I'd say that's it. If anybody has any questions.
If I may, I have a question, Dan from Whitman.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
If on the Route 14 project in Hanson, where you say there's a 100-year-old water main under the street, and that whether or not that needs to be replaced. I can remember when we did the Route 18, Route 27 project, the town of Whitman, we had a same situation where we voted to have that water main replaced. There's no sense in not doing it when it's the original. I don't know what's holding Hanson up for not making a decision on that water main. I wish Don Howard was on with us because he's a water commissioner, and I'm almost tempted to give him a call later on today and say, what is going on? I have family that lives in Hanson, and I think that if there's a 100-year-old water main that needs to be replaced and it's in the town of Hanson, that they need to contact who they claim owns it and get it taken care of and get that road repaired.
Right.
My comment.
If I may, there has been a bit of coordination. And that really is the crux of the problem right there, is the water main is not owned by the town. It's owned by a water district outside of the town of Hanson. So they don't really have control over when the replacement would take place. And the water district has not intended, they said that they would, if there were a break, that they would take care of it during construction, but we don't have a commitment with the water district. We would have a contract with the town. So it's a bit complicated, but they don't have an intention at this time to replace it. And the
Well,
town
I think-
really can't
yeah.
force that. That's why before we move ahead, we would like to have further information on the water main. Like it could be 3 feet deep where it should be 5. And, there's some areas where the profile of the roadway needs to be lowered. And, that
Right.
will definitely be impacting it. So, which, in that case, we would replace it, but we don't want to get in a situation that during construction, if there's major issues with the water main, and then, we don't really have we can't require a third party to maintain it. And even if we did, then the contractor can come back with, delays and, that we would be required. So it's a little bit messy. And
Okay, Pam, if that road is completed and it's done and the water main lets go and the road has to be dug up, who pays for the repair of the road?
I would say after construction or before, I would say if there's an issue with the water main, that the, owner would be responsible, but during construction, it gets to be a bit dicey.
Yeah,
People
well,
can
okay.
point
I'm gonna give
fingers
Don,
at each other and.
I'm gonna probably give Don Howard a call sometime and tell him that the town of Hanson needs to start a pushback, because if that project, I know that that's one of Don Howard's favorite thing, that when he was on our JTC committee, he wanted that project done and he pushed and pushed and pushed for it. And now I understand why it's been pushed back because of the water situation. And I think it's a project that needs to get done, and I think Hanson needs to put some pressure on whoever owns that water main. My comments only.
Sure, no,
I know
well,
that wouldn't happen in Whitman. Not
yeah,
with
we
me.
support the town. It's just, we are concerned about getting in a situation during construction without enough information that
Oh, yeah,
there could be a lot of problems.
right. You could dig thinking that it's 5 feet deep, but it's 3 feet deep and you break the water main yourself. I understand that 100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, other questions for Pam? All right, thanks, Pam. We'll move on now to agenda item 6, which is any tip adjustments or amendments, which Charlie, I don't believe we have any, correct?
That's correct. Bill notified us that there's no action
Okay.
items.
That's correct.
All right, let's move on to number 7, which is performance-based planning. And Brockton area transit asset management fiscal year 2023, transit state of good repair reports. And I believe Kelly Forrester is gonna present this. So go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you very much. I'm Kelly Forrester. I'm for Brockton Area Transit. And I come and visit you every year to present our transit asset management plan performance targets. Charlie, I have the performance targets. Can I share them?
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah, we have it in the slide deck. Sean, if you could just advance, stop,
There we go.
if there's a way to enlarge that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So in 2016, FTA created a final rule that requires all of the regional transit authorities and transit authorities to come up with some performance targets that will show the percent of your fleet or facilities that are beyond their useful life every year. So we've come and presented that every year, and these are our targets this year in each category. So we use our vehicle replacement plan. So we know what vehicles we're expecting to get by the end of the year. And we set our targets based on June 30th, 2023, the age of our fleet and what they'll look like. So in June of 2023, for buses, we expect that no more than 3% of our fleet will be older than 14 years old. For cutaways, which is the vehicles we have over at Bridgewater State University, we expect that no more than 25%, which is 1 out of the 4 we have, will be older than 10 years old. And for vans, which is our dial-bat vans, we expect that no more than 14% will be older than 8 years old. For equipment, we have, it's our non-revenue service vehicles. So we have cars and trucks. For our non-revenue service automobiles, we expect no more than 40%. So we have 5 cars that are non-revenue, and we expect about 2 of those will be beyond the useful life of 8 years. And the same with our service trucks. It's going to be 40%. We have 2 that are going to be 8 years and older. A note for all of our vehicles, even though these vehicles are 8 years old, they have pretty low mileage and they have a great state of good repair. So even though they reach their useful life benchmark that's set by FTA, it's not a requirement that we have to replace them at that year, as long as we are just really taking note and making sure that they're all still in a state of good repair. And we feel that our equipment is all still in a state of good repair. And then our facilities, we have 3 facilities. They ask you to rate them on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. And they want to make sure that what your percentage of any being rated 3 or lower are. And we expect none of our facilities to be rated 3 or lower. So that is what I have to present for our FY23 performance targets for our TAM plan.
Kelly, do we need a vote or just this is for information purposes? I can't remember, Charlie.
This would be a formal vote of the MPO to approve and adopt these performance measures.
All right, can I get a motion second to approve and adopt these performance measures?
So moved by Whitman.
Second by West Bridgewater.
All right, anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none. Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Yes, Brockton, J. DeGrasse,
Here.
Plymouth Lee Hartman,
Yes.
West Bridgewater, Mary Anderson,
Yes.
Whitman, Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
MassDOT, Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
MassDOT, Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit, Mike Lambert,
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
We will now move to agenda item 8, which is development of the 2023 Old Colony Title 6 reports, which I believe is going to be handled by Sean. So take it away, Sean.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Sean Bailey. I'm a senior transportation planner here at the Old Colony Planning Council, and I'm going to be talking about the development of OCP's, the Old Colony MPO's 2022 Title 6 reports. We have 2 reports that are due by the end of the year. One is for the FTA and Federal Highway. It's a triennial report, and the other is an annual report as required by MassDOT. So what is Title VI? Title VI is a law within the 1964 Civil Rights Act that bars discrimination in federally assisted programs to be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be otherwise subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal assistance on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, including limited English proficiency. And why the report? So the Old Colony Planning Council and Old Colony MPO, as we are subrecipients of federal financial assistance through MassDOT, we are responsible for all civil rights compliance so that we can ensure that there are no discriminatory practices in carrying out our services and goods. As previously stated, we have a triennial and an annual Title VI report that are due this year. As part of our compliance, we catalog our policies, complaint procedures, and forms, as well as any investigations, complaints, and lawsuits. And we are also required to document our demographic analysis of our metropolitan area, our limited English proficiency and language assistance plan, as well as document our transportation investments in our communities. And then so for the triennial report, here's what the table of contents looks like with all of these sections that we must document. We have the Title VI assurances that are provided by the FTA and Federal Highway. We are required to provide our public participation plan, which was endorsed last year, as well as our LEP and LAP plan, which was completed this year. And then other items such as notifying our beneficiaries of their protections, developing our complaint procedures and forms, as previously stated, record and report any investigations, complaints, and lawsuits, promote inclusive public participation, provide meaningful access to LEP persons, and provide racial breakdown of Old Colony boards and committees. And then there's also a separate table of contents for programs that are carried out by metropolitan planning organizations, providing a demographic profile of our metropolitan area, provide procedures of how the mobility needs of minority populations are identified and considered, showing maps that illustrate the impacts of funds, including the TIP funds, provide an analysis of our transportation system investments and address any disparate impacts. And lastly, provide procedures to ensure non-discriminatory practices. And here are some of the maps that our GIS manager, Andrew Vidal, created for this round of Title VI reporting. Here's the environmental justice for the median household income in connection to our environmental justice populations in our communities. Here's the environmental justice block groups and showing a map of all transit options in our region, including BAT routes, GATRA routes, and MBTA commuter rail stations. And then lastly, here's a map showing our environmental justice block groups and all of the Old Colony TIP projects that have been completed in recent years and that are currently being planned. And the current status of the reports, the LEP and LAP plan was completed last month, so that is already done and ready to go. The draft Title VI triennial plan is completed. We're currently going through a review period and we'll seek an endorsement at the next MPO meeting. And the annual Title VI report is in progress and it will be completed by the deadline of December 31st.
Wow.
And that is my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
No. Wow.
Okay, thank you very much.
I was on mute. Sorry. Does anyone have any questions for Sean? Looks like there were none. Sean, are we taking a vote in December for both? That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, I believe just for the triennial report. The annual report is just something that that we will approve in-house.
All right. So I guess if there's any questions as people review it, they should get in touch with you before December, right? For the meeting in December.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. So please, all of you read these. These are important documents. All right, so thank you, Sean. We'll move on to agenda item 9, which is the development of the 2050 long-range transportation plan. It's an update and status report, and I believe that's Bill.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So as most of everyone on this call knows, we're currently developing our 2050 long-range transportation plan. This is the long-range plan that's updated every 4 years as part of our MPO certification in our overall 3C process. So to just the status update would just give you an idea where we've been since the last time we met, which is July. So, we're currently, we've been doing a lot of the background work. So you see there on your front page there, so the socioeconomic projections. So we've been actively participating along with every other MPO in the state on developing our socioeconomic projections. I'm participating in that in the statewide committee, which consists of all the MPOs and the state. It's been meeting monthly. This data will be used to project to update our travel demand model, which our staff member Guo Chang is currently working on. So that's going on. We can go to the next page. So we've also been developing the goals of the plan. So these are the goals that are stated in our plan, and these will be used going forward. These will be used. These will be used going forward. They pretty much carried through from the previous plan. So safe. I won't read word for word, but safety, transparency, and equity, economic vitality, security, accessibility, a clean environment, resiliency, state of good repair, and efficiency. These are the and resiliency, I should say. And these are the core goals of the plan, ensuring that the core principles, I guess I should say, for the transportation network on through 2050. Under each of these goals will be objectives on how we plan to achieve those goals, and a lot of our performance targets will also be included in this section. We've also been developing our planning scenarios. So these planning scenarios have been developed in conjunction with similar effort going on with statewide plan update, the Beyond Mobility Plan. So the big factors that we're looking at, factors that will affect the region going forward. So climate change, the future of work. That's obviously, the workforce has changed quite a bit since pandemic. Population trends, housing economy, prosperity, and technology. So the planning scenarios will identify potential ways that the region could develop and change based on these factors, and how we need to anticipate whether so for example, so climate change, if climate change worsens and impacts from climate change accelerate quicker than we anticipate, we need to be prepared for that, how those impacts would be on the transportation network, or vice versa, if somehow we reverse it, and what would be expected if climate change were stabilized and the impacts are stabilized and we didn't see as much sea level rise, for example. So these are the planning scenarios that will be included in the plan. Next one, development schedule. So this is next one. This is the just a time frame for how this plan is going to be developed. So the ultimate MPO endorsement that we would seek is next June. Then working backwards from that, we would have going out to release to a public comment period in May. So again, backwards, having completed draft in April. So it's a little bit of an accelerated schedule. So right now, again, we're doing a lot of this background work. You can see we're also developing a public participation plan. So you see public survey, that's going to be a key component. Is going to launch very soon. We've been developing that. That models that mirrors almost directly what the Beyond Mobility survey did. So a lot of the questions are very similar. Basically, how people value certain factors in transportation system. So it gains it solicits their input on if they had how they would direct investment in certain areas. And so a lot of the questions are word for word from the Beyond Mobility, but there are some questions that again are aimed at gathering more specific information about the specific region. So asking people, what do you see as the biggest factor in the Old Colony region, South Shore, going through 2050? Is it climate change? Is it the transit network coverage or service? So then there'll be also some open-ended questions where people can enter into a text box and speak, say in their own words what is most important. So we're currently coordinating with MassDOT, a couple of focus group meetings. So these will be very specific in nature. MassDOT's calling meetings in a box. They're doing it statewide with all the MPOs, and we look forward to this process. So these meetings will take place later this fall. So I mean, there's only a month and a half left in this year, but so now through January, essentially, we'll have two focus group meetings. Meeting directly with stakeholders. We have, at least one virtual webinar, probably a couple of virtual webinars leading up to the public release in the spring. We'll be meeting monthly, not only with this board, but we'll also be meeting monthly with the advisory committee of the JTC and our own Old Colony Planning Council board. Looking to have a couple open houses, having a couple table events with the cooperation and coordination with Brockton Area Transit at their facility. So we're meeting directly with commuters during peak hours. So this is just some of the key components of our engagement plan, as well as reaching out directly to stakeholders, specific stakeholders, and one-on-one meetings with them as well. So next. So this is the again, this is the survey. I won't read through it, and I think pretty much everyone in this call either is very familiar with the Beyond Mobility survey or took it themselves. So I won't read through the questions, but they're in your staff report. And again, these just kind of mirror almost directly what the Beyond Mobility survey did. The reason for that is we didn't want to end up with a set of data that's completely different from what the state did. We wanted to be very compatible. So hopefully, I know that the state survey was geocoded in a sense. It asked people to enter in their zip code. So we do have that data. So I think the last time I talked to MassDOT OTP, they acknowledged that they did have quite a good return rate on the survey from the South Shore, which is great. We look forward to coordinating with them using that data, and hopefully this survey effort will just build upon that, and we'll just it'll be an apples to apples comparison. So our questions will just build upon what they had, and then, like I said, we'll have those one or two open-ended questions so that people can say in their own words what's important to them, and go from there. So I just want to go through the next few pages, John. Yeah, it's just the questions. So. We keep going. Yep. So that's where we're at right now. That's the work we've been doing so far. I know, Kelly gave that great report on the transit performance targets. So those will be built into this plan, as well as PM1, PM2, and PM3. So we're working on those as well. Coordinated with MassDOT on those. And so if anyone has any questions on any of this, you can ask now or reach out to me anytime.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Bill? All right, I don't see any now. As Bill said, please reach out to him as you go through these materials if you have any questions. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 10, agenda item 10, which is administrative matters of the business and date and time of next meeting. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is just a spotlight of a quick couple items. As Administrator Lambert mentioned earlier, Tri-Transit, Brockton Area Transit, and the other RTAs are launching a free fare service from the 25th of November through the 31st. And, on behalf of Old Colony Planning Council, I want to thank Mike Lambert for working with the other RTAs, MassDOT, and the legislature to implement this important program. Next slide. Next. And there's a flyer for the free service, and it's nice how it's translated into different languages as well.
Yeah.
Next slide. So Federal Highway had recently published a vulnerable road users safety assessment guidance. This is a requirement of the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed, hard to believe, about a year ago, but this is one of the requirements within the law with regard to the highway safety improvement program. So I just want to bring this to the attendees information, and there's a hyperlink there. So this will be helpful in our planning process as we work on long range planning. Next. Something that's happening tonight and Thursday night at 6 p.m. MassDOT's holding a virtual update on the Cape Cod Canal Bridges program. Last week, MassDOT and a consultant team had a briefing of the same presentation for the regional planning agencies, and Mary and I attended that, and it was a really interactive session. It was a lot of great information on the status of where this project is at, funding sources being pursued. And what was really neat about this was they had some virtual renderings of potential bridge structure types for the audience to view, the things such as keeping the current type of arch structure that's in place now, or going with a center cable system such as the Zakim Bridge, or having more of a curved arch structure, and then the last being more of your traditional longer box style bridge. And what was neat was they commented on the complexities of construction of the different types of structure, kind of the pro and con of maintenance after they're constructed, and there were some comments on the potential costs of the different types of options. So I think this will be the first time that the public has seen some options, if you will, on what a structure might look like. And one of the neat things that they had talked about was that the bridge itself will actually be two bridges side by side. It'll be a twin bridge structure. And this will help allow faster construction, because all traffic could be on one side of the twin structure while the other side is being constructed. And once the other side is constructed, then travel east or west, north, south will be open up to traffic. So it was a great presentation last week, and anybody interested in the project, I would encourage them to attend. Next slide. So just something we've talked about in the past in this forum is the discretionary grant programs that are nested within the bipartisan infrastructure law to as companion pieces to the formula programs. And this is one of the programs that the notice of funding opportunity for the Thriving Communities program is out, but clock is ticking, and applications are due on the 29th of this month. And I know the city of Brockton is actively pursuing a application for this program. And I believe that rounds out the notices. The next is some upcoming MPO meeting dates. So on your screen here. Please save the date of November 20th for our next MPO meeting. And as Sean Bailey mentioned earlier, there will be an action item for the Title VI report. So there would be an important action item there. And we may have some tip adjustments and amendments at that time. And then rolling into the Happy New Year in 2023, as you can see, there will be monthly MPO meetings to develop the Transportation Improvement Program, the Unified Planning Work Program, and as Bill McNulty spoke to earlier, the Long Range Transportation Plan. And to round it out, one of the things every 4 years, MPOs have to, that are qualified as a transportation management area, have to undergo a certification review of their transportation planning process. So kind of at the back end of this will be a certification review by the federal partners of Federal Highway and Federal Transit. But please save those dates, and we look forward to seeing you all again really soon.
All right, any questions for Charlie on all that stuff? All right.
I
with
see
that-
Mary has her hand raised.
Oh, Mary, go ahead.
So this is not a clap, but I'll clap for Charlie anyway, but I made a mistake. But if I could just put a plug in to have all of you hold December 8th. We are having our OCPC summit as we did last year. It's a network of not only the staff and the delegation from Old Colony Planning Council, but certainly all of you from JTC and MPO, and those invites should be going up today if you have. But it's December 8th and it's going to be held at the Meadowbrook, and it's free, and it really is, from last year, we learned a lot about ways of connecting with our communities. Instead of on a Zoom, it's going to be in person. And then on Wednesday, our partners, Transit Matters is holding an event here in downtown Brockton at Brockton Beer to talk about advocacy for transit. And that is, again, an open event. But thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Mary. So please try to keep December 8th on the books for that in-person meeting. All right, with that, we'll move to adjournment. Can I get a motion second to adjourn?
Don't move, Dan from Whitman.
Second, Mary from West Bridgewater.
All right, do we do a roll call, Charlie? I can't remember.
We just do, I think at this one,
All right.
just a general voice vote. Just
All right. Lee,
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We're
Happy
adjourned.
holidays.
Yes.
Happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving to
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah,
See
happy
you guys in
Thanksgiving,
April.
everybody. Be safe. Andrew, go back to the training, the E-step training, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.